Here, read this.
Woof.
So, I've only just found out about this, but apparently in 2015, Martin Scorsese was due to direct Macbeth, a film adaptation of Macbeth, with Kenneth Branagh in the leading role. I would absolutely have loved to have seen that. I'm in a bit of a Macbeth and Scorsese phase at the moment, and it occurs to me that perhaps Scorsese has actually already made Macbeth.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Now bear with me, and huge spoilers for Goodfellas if you haven't watched it. Both Macbeth and Goodfellas have a central murder, and the plot and presentation of those murders has quite a lot in common. So obviously in Macbeth, Macbeth and his wife, Lady Macbeth, conspire in the killing of Duncan, a king. And in the plot of Goodfellas, three of the Goodfellas, Robert De Niro's character Jimmy Conway, Joe Pesci's character Tommy DeVito, and Ray Liotta's character Henry Hill conspire. Although Henry Hill is a little bit of an observer and unwilling accomplice, they kill a made man, Billy Batts. Now, killing a main man is a big deal, not to mix mob movie titles, but they are effectively untouchable. You can't kill a made man. During the murder in Shakespeare's play, Macbeth is assisted by his wife, who gives him knives, and so she would have killed Duncan herself if he hadn't resembled her father. In Goodfellas, immediately following the murder, Tommy borrows a knife from his mother, and in a celebrated improvised moment mentions that a painting that his mother has done reminds him of someone that they all know.
And this guy's saying, what do you want from me? Guy's got a nice head of white hair. Look how beautiful with the dog. It looks the same.
Looks like somebody we know.
I mean, without the beard. No, it's him. Oh, it's him. Holy.
Here's a knocking indeed.
Macbeth is tormented that he cannot wash the blood from his hands following his stabbing of Duncan, which is similar to how Henry Hill can't get the stench of Billy Batts' body off his car. In fact, this point is made even more in Wise Guy, the book that Goodfellas is based on, in which Henry Hill says the smell of Billy Batts followed him around for weeks and made him sick. As a result of the murder, the world in Macbeth appears to go to hell. Macbeth cannot enjoy a peaceful reign, as he imagined. Instead, he is forced further into darkness. It doesn't bring Macbeth and Lady Macbeth closer together, as you might imagine co-conspirators would be by a crime like that and a success like that. Instead, they appear increasingly estranged and at odds with one another. And interestingly, in the film Goodfellas, directly following the scene depicting Billy Batts' murder, we have the first scene with the girlfriends instead of the wives of all of the mobsters. It might not have been a particularly idyllic life beforehand, but it was kind of a gangster's paradise. We see Henry and his wife Karen having a fairly conventional romance and marriage. Yes, he is a criminal, but we are kind of won over, as Karen is, by all of the glamour and the fact that he seems to be genuinely in love with her.
Saturday night was for wives, but Friday night at the Copel was always for the girlfriends.
It shouldn't surprise us. It's a bunch of mobsters who beat people up for a living, and yet the romantic presentation of Henry and this sort of casual introduction of the fact that he's been cheating on his wife, who we've got to know and like, is a jolt, and a jolt that shows us that the world isn't what it appears to be. Both Macbeth and Jimmy Conway go on a killing spree after their crimes, believing that things bad begun make strong themselves by ill. Macbeth is paranoid and suffers apparent hallucinations, appearing insane to those around him when he sees Banquo at the feast, just as Henry appears insane to his brother when he's asking whether or not he can see that helicopter that's been chasing him around.
Yeah, I think it's been following me all morning.
Get the fuck out of here. What are you, nuts?
I'm telling you.
I don't know what's going on.
It's the third time I see it. I went to the hospital.
Tommy is killed on the day he is supposed to be made, and while this is met with anger and tears from Jimmy, there has always been a rumour that the real Jimmy might have had a hand in Tommy's killing. It's worth saying that Henry Hill describes Jimmy Burke, that's his real name, as a split personality, which combined with that surname, Burke, gives him an additional murderous Scottish flavour. At the beginning of Shakespeare's play, Macbeth and Banquo appear like noble warriors, clearly fit to be kings themselves, but standing no chance of doing so. The weird women's prophecy surprises them. They're not, at that point, labouring under any delusion that they ever will be kings. Some productions have found a potential resentment here. They show a strong warrior like Macbeth, a weak, sometimes sick Duncan, and seed the possibility that Macbeth might have a long-term grudge. Read that way, it bears another similarity to Goodfellas in that Henry and Jimmy can never be made. If we continue to look at made men as being like kings, they can never be made men because they're not true Sicilians, whereas Tommy de Simone or Tommy DeVito in Goodfellas is.
But Jimmy and I could never be made because we had Irish blood.
So if Jimmy Burke really did whack the out-of-control Tommy, a possible motive could be that lack of pure Sicilian credentials. Lady Macbeth's guilt over the crime of killing Duncan leads her to commit suicide, and Henry Hill effectively kills his old life in a similar way by entering the witness protection program at the end of Goodfellas. There is even a late appearance by a doctor who offers him Valium, just as a doctor appears in the final scenes of Macbeth trying to help the sleepwalking Lady Macbeth. The film ends with a scene of Henry settling down to his life as an average schmuck before cutting to a Banquo-like apparition of Tommy firing a gun at the screen. So what do you reckon? Was Scorsese thinking of Macbeth as he filmed this murder plot, steeping his murderers in oversaturated red? Or is this just a happy or cursed coincidence? And more importantly, can we start a letter campaign to get Scorsese to resuscitate his idea of doing a Macbeth film? Because I would love to see that as his next picture.